These are assembly instructions for the Galentine's Day bag that's graduation themed, and this is the 2024 version. So I'm starting with the bottom of my bag, so it is a piece that has a rectangular score line in the center, and I'm just folding down on all the score lines. Once I folded down on the score lines, I have a piece of craft board and I'm gluing it to the bottom of my bag just to make it a little sturdier. Then I have my two side pieces. I'm folding down on the score lines on either side. And then I'm putting my nail on the score line that forms this triangle. It's at the bottom. And I'm just creating that crease. And then I'm folding down on that center score line until it reaches the top or the peak of that triangle. So both pieces are folded down the same way. And then I have my back and front pieces. Corners are squared off and not rounded like the decorative panels. So my piece of craft board is on the inside of my bag. I'm going to flip my piece over so that I'm looking at the outside of my bag. So this is the outside of the bottom. And I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge on one of the long sides. And then I'm taking my side panel and I'm just gluing it right to the score line. I'm doing that on the other long side as well, the exact same way. And I'm using 80-pound Cricut cardstock for the foundation of my bag. And so then I have my side pieces, and again, this is going to be for the exterior of the bag. I'm putting glue on those shorter tabs, and I'm gluing the bottom of that triangle right to the score line on my tab. I'm doing that for the second side as well. And now I'm going to move on to decorating my front and back panels. I have two sets of identical rectangles with the rounded corners. I'm going to put the light gray ones in the interior of the bag as lining, and then these two will be on the exterior of my bag. So these are the parts that I'm going to be decorating. So I've got these pieces for the front of my bag. I'm starting with my white triangle. I'm putting glue on the underside of it, and I'm gluing it right up against the top. The curve at each end should follow the curve that are at the corner of my piece. Then I'm gluing my blue V on top, and again I want the corners to match up. And it's right at the top of my rectangle. And then I have my silver piece. Now this I've cut out of foil craft board, so it's centered as much as possible and right up against the edge of my rectangle like so. And then I have these silver pieces. Now there is a scored outline of where these belong, so I'm just going to glue those down. There are other decorative pieces in the file and I'm going to add them later. For my second side, I have my piece with the rounded corners on the upper part. I'm putting glue on the underside, matching up my corners and gluing that down. And then I have my silver strip and I'm just gluing it down right in the center of my piece. I'm putting glue on the underside of my rounded pieces and I'm gluing them down using those score lines for placement. And then I have my zipper. The zipper part is cut out of foil craft board. So I'm gluing my blue oval over my silver one. Then I'm putting glue on the back of my zipper piece. So with my zipper, I have a pull at one end that takes up a little bit of room. So I'm putting my zipper a little bit more towards the right. I'm centering it vertically, and I have this little tiny silver piece. I'm putting glue on the back of it, and then I'm just gluing it right at the end like so to give it a little bit of extra definition. And then I have another rectangle. I'm using my Cricut tool, and I'm just rolling my rectangle around my Cricut tool, give it the shape I need. I'm putting it through the cutout that's in my zipper pull, and I'm wrapping it around itself. I'm putting glue on one end and gluing the other end to it. I'm using my reverse tweezers to hold my piece together while it dries. I'm just going to set that aside until the glue takes. In the meantime, I'm going to glue down the card holder on one of my inner panels. So this is for the interior of the bag. I'm just folding down on the score lines. I'm putting glue, I'm centering my card holder so there's an even amount on both sides. And then I'm just going to fold that tab over and glue it on to my panel. And then I'm putting glue on both side tabs. And I'm flipping my piece over and gluing it down. So now I'm going back to my zipper. I could use glue here and wait for it to dry, but I think I'm going to use a little bit of red line tape. I'm removing the liner on my red line tape and gluing my zipper pull right to the end of my zipper. And then I'm going to glue that down onto the back of this panel. So now I'm back with the base of my bag, and I'm just going to glue my sides down to the back and to the front of my bag. So make sure that you have your pieces in the right orientation. So that's the outside of my box. I'm flipping it over. So I'm putting glue on those tabs. I'm bringing the front up and I'm gluing my side piece right along the score line of that tab. And I'm going in with my bone folder, spreading that glue. And then I'm going to do that on the back piece as well. I'm just gluing that tab right to the edge of the back of my bag. And then I'm going in with my bone folder and spreading that glue. I'm doing the exact same thing with the other side. I'm looking at the front of my bag and I have my panels for the interior. I'm putting glue on the back of the plain one. I have my front here and I'm just going inside my bag, gluing this on the inside of my bag on that front panel. So now for my panel with the pocket, I'm putting glue on the underside of it and then I'm lowering it into my bag and I'm just gluing it into my bag. So next I have my handle pieces. My buckles are cut out of foil craft board. I'm gluing them back to back just to make them nice and sturdy. I'm doing that for all 4 of them. So next I'm going to take one of these oval pieces and I'm just wrapping it around like so. I'm putting glue on one end and then I'm gluing the other end right over like so. So I'm going to do that with all 4 of my buckles. Next I'm putting glue on one half of that curve piece and I'm just centering it as best I can over that silver piece like so, with an even border all the way around. And I'm going to do that with all 4 of them. So next I have my handle pieces. I'm just folding down on the scored lines at each end for both handles. I'm holding my piece so that my thumbs are at the top and then I'm bringing my thumbs together and then I'm inserting my handles into the top of that buckle piece. Then I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge and then just gluing my handle in like so. So I'm doing that for both ends of my handle and I'm doing that for the other handle as well. So I'm going to work on the decorations. We've got the graduation cap. So I'm using the backing from another project to protect my mat. I'm using some Nouveau drops, so these have glitter in them. And I'm just covering the top of this tiny circle with Nouveau drops. It gives it dimension and also with the glitter it gives it shine. I'm just layering up a generous amount on top all over the surface of that circle. So next I'm going to be making my little tassel. So this is my template. I've cut it out of craft board because it's a nice sturdy material. I'm holding the end of my thread at the bottom and I'm wrapping my embroidery thread around like so. I'm just doing this until I figure it's thick enough. And then I'm bringing it to the bottom and snipping it off. And then I've cut about a 6-inch length of my thread. I'm using a tapestry needle here because it's easier. And I'm bringing my needle right under those threads, but over my template, like so. And then I'm pulling it partially through, pulling it towards the top, and I'm securing it with a very solid knot. And then I'm taking a much longer length, about 30 inches. So I'm bringing it under again and knotting it. Then I'm putting my needle through the hole, pulling it downwards, pulling it up through the other side of that. So on the other side is wrapping around my embroidery thread. Then I'm bringing it down on this side closer to me again, and then up on the side that's further away from me. I'm going to do that a few times, keeping those top strands out of the way. And then I'm running my needle through horizontally through all those loops that I've just made, and then knotting it. Once my knot is nice and secure, I'm snipping off the ends. I'm taking my scissors and I'm running it against the bottom of my panel, and then just snipping those off, and then I'm just removing my template. So that leaves me with a tassel. And so then I have these 4 ring pieces and I'm just going to glue them one on top of another. And then I have a square with a hole in the center and I'm going to glue my stacked circles to the center of my square. I'm doing my best to keep an even border all the way around. And then I'm going to put the top of my tassel through like so. I'm putting some red line tape on the underside of my tassel. I'm taking the liner off my red line tape, so I'm leaving enough to be able to glue that circle that I created before. So while I'm waiting for my Nouveau drops to dry, I'm going to work on the card that goes inside the card holder. I have 2 layers for my letters and my numbers, and I'm just going to glue them together. Again, I'm using foil craft board and more of that blue cardstock. So I'm just putting glue on the underside of my craft board and gluing my letters to their offset. Next, I'm taking the panel that has the cutouts with all the letters. I'm putting my nail against the score line and I'm just raising up those numbers. I want to keep the side panels from folding. I have that top score line and I'm folding on it. And then I have the next score line that's just above the class of. I'm folding down on it. And then I have a score line below the class of. So this is a valley fold, this is a mountain fold, and I'm folding this so that it becomes a valley fold. And I want this to be a mountain fold, so I'm bringing the numbers towards me. And then I have two score lines on those little itsy bitsy strips on either side. And I'm just folding down on them. So I'm folding down on those and carefully closing my card. And then I'm going to temporarily lay it flat again and glue down my numbers and my letters. I have my card base and I have a score line in the center and I've just folded on that score line. And then I have two blue panels. I'm just going to glue them in. So unfortunately my camera wasn't rolling, so I'm just doing a mock-up to show you how I insert the pop-up into the card. Got it folded on those two tiny little score lines, which means that the top and the bottom are even here and all my letters are folded down properly. Then I'm putting glue all along that top portion and along those tiny little strips on either side. And I'm placing this on my card so that my tabs are right on the score line and they're approximately the same distance from the edge of the card. And then I'm closing my card. And that positions my pop-up on the top half of the card. And then I'm going to fold my piece down and I'm putting glue on the underside of the bottom portion, including those two tiny little strips. And then I'm laying my piece flat and closing my card. So then when I open my card, it's positioned where it needs to be. And then I have these craft board circles. I'm placing the first one so that it's half on my card and half over the edge. And it's about halfway down the height of my card, like so. And then I'm closing my card. I'm taking my second one and gluing it right on top. And then I'm pinching my two pieces together. So my card just fits into the pocket that's on the inside of my bag. And so next I have more of that red line tape and I'm just putting it over the center of my tassel like so, hoping my Nouveau drops are dry. I'm just going to stick my piece right over the center. I have these decorations that I'm going to tie to the handle of my handbag, and this one is made of foil craft board with 2 layers of vinyl, and this one is black craft board with the sentiment cut out of vinyl. And now I'm just going to tie them to my handle. Looking at the underside of my cap, I'm just gluing my cap to my bag, and then I have my diploma. I'm taking one of my Cricut pens and I'm just rolling it around that rectangle to create my diploma. And I'm going to glue it closed like so. I've got this thin ribbon and I'm just making a bow. And I'm going to use some double-sided tape to adhere it to the side of my bag. And so there you have it, the 2024 graduation themed Galentine's bag.